Hi there, Tracy here. Today I'm going to be making my first canning project of 2025, and we're going to be making some low sugar jelly out of this Tropicana juice that I just picked up from Gateway. So this cost me $3.97 each. I don't usually buy juice, so I knew I was going to do a project with this. So I'm going to try to make jelly. Now I'm going to be making it low sugar because I'm going to be using Pomona's pectin. So there's a couple extra steps because I'm using the Pomona's pectin. Well, one extra step have to make some calcium water because the calcium makes it jelly, not the sugar. So you're allowed to be able to use less sugar. So this is my first canning project of 2025. Excited to get back into it again. I typically just can in the summer months into the fall. I try to be done by Christmas, and now we're starting up again and it's mid-May. So my husband got me this for Christmas. So it doesn't really apply too much in Canada because we don't have ball jars, but grab your balls. It's canning season. So let me get my hair tied back and we'll get into this, and I'll show you how simple this is going to be and cost effective too. All right, I'll bring you around and show you what I'm doing. All right, so my very first step is to make the calcium water. So it's half a cup of water to half a teaspoon of the calcium. And this comes with the Pomona's pectin. So this was 1 ounce I got, and this was a pound bag when I first bought it. So this is a little bit expensive. This pound cost me $73. I just found the receipt was in the box that it was in. But this is my 3rd year using it, and I make a lot of jams. So I like to use them for Christmas gifts. So half a teaspoon of the calcium in 1 cup of water. Now we're not going to use all this for the recipe. This will probably last me for a couple months, but we can just keep it in the fridge. And I would recommend keeping it in the back of the fridge, or somebody's going to throw it away on you. So that's that step. And then we're going to do our sugar. So we're doing a double batch. You can use as little as half a cup of sugar, but I find a cup of sugar per batch is a nice amount of sweetness. And this is actually probably a little less than 2 cups, but so 2 cups because we're doing a double batch. And then it's 4 teaspoons of the Pomona's per recipe. So we're going to put in 8 teaspoons total. Five, 6, 7, 8. So that's it for the pectin part, and that's it for the sugar. So that stuff can get put away. And you're just gonna mix this. The thing with the Pomona's is, or with any pectin, is as soon as it gets wet, it's gonna clump. That's why you mix it with the sugar. Okay, that's all mixed up. I gotta take my dog outside. All right, I'll just show you my setup real quick. I got my recipe up here. I got my coffee brewed. I boiled up a bunch of eggs. I'm gonna do some pickled eggs later. My juice, my measuring cup, my sugar I just mixed up. I like to have everything out and ready to go. Jelly and jams are very quick to make, and as far as the canning world goes. So I like to use my big, tall pot. I think this is 11 liters. Because sometimes, especially if you're doing a double batch, it boils up quite high and I don't want to make a mess. And then I use a steam canner. This is my first time canning, so I had to get everything out. Usually I have stuff ready to go. All right, so hopefully you can see that okay. So I'm going to turn on my pot and I'm going to measure out 8 cups of juice because we're doing the double batch. And this is a blackberry blueberry blend. This would work for any fruit juice. So there's 4. And I'm going to need the other bottle. So there's 8 cups of juice. Now I have this much left. I'm going to try to make a Jello tube out of this. I just saw their recipe on their website. So I'm going to add lemon juice to this as well. It's going to be half a cup per batch. So I'm going to do 1 cup of lemon juice. lowies. All right, half a cup of lemon juice. And then how much calcium water do I need? I need 4 teaspoons per batch. So 3, 6, 7, 8. So there's loads of that calcium water left. I'm going to use some of this when I make my Jello as well. But the rest of it can just go in the fridge till the next time we make jam. All right, I'm going to bring this up to a boil. I'm going to go bring my doggy in from outside. And I'll bring you back when we're adding the sugar. It'll probably be like 2 or 3 minutes. All right, my juice is up to a boil. So I'm going to go ahead and add my sugar and pectin mixture. And stir that in. This is going to be such a pretty jam, that purple color. So this should come up to a boil fairly quickly because it was already boiling. And maybe I'll bring it over and I'll show you how much it foams up. All right, well that's coming up to a boil. I just have my jars in the sink filled with hot water. You don't need to sterilize because you're going to be water bath canning. So as long as you water bath can for more than 5 minutes, or for more than 10 minutes, you don't need to sterilize your jars. I think that's a new recommendation within the last few years. So I just do one of these little jars when I do a batch of jam because my mom prefers the little ones because she doesn't go through a whole lot of jam. But I like to give her lots of testers. This is a jar she just gave me the other day. I showed in my grocery haul video, and I'm just going to use it because I think it's darling. So this is starting to come to a boil. And usually what I do is I dump my water into my steam canner, but I was talking, so I forgot. This is already starting to jelly up. You can feel it's thicker. I find Pomona's is a little more foolproof with jellies than a regular pectin. I don't know why, but I haven't had great luck doing jellies with regular pectin. What am I doing? Oh, getting my steam bath canner turned on. I like to use a steam canner because it takes no time at all to heat up. So I'm just going to turn it on now. I'll bring you over and I'll show you. See, that's just 8 cups of juice. So that's up to like 5 liters. So if I use a smaller pot, it could foam over, and I find this is what really gets a good jelly. So we're going to boil it like this. So it's a rolling boil for 1 minute. Okay, so I just took that off the heat after 1 minute of boiling, and I'm just going to skim off some of this foam. You can leave this on, it just doesn't look as nice in the jars. And this is totally edible. It's just foam. I find this is a nice way too to get a little tester batch. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this in the fridge and make sure that it's going to jelly up properly, but I'm positive it will. All right, so we're just going to fill our jars. So jams go to 1/4 inch headspace. I brought out this because I had it in with my canning stuff. So a 1/4 inch is the very first one. So we want our, there we go. We're going to have our jam come right up to there. So a good indicator is this first little ridge here. A little tight on space right here, but yeah, that's it. You just made your first jelly. First jelly of the season. It's not the nicest day. That's why I decided to do this today. It's not too bad temperature-wise, but it's super humid out there. Anyway, I'll fill these all up and wipe the rims and get them in my canner. Alright, so I just wiped the rims. Make sure you do that. Don't skip that step, especially for jams and jellies, because a little bit of that sugar will ruin your seal. And so my steam panner's only been on for like 3 minutes while I filled the jars, and it's already coming up to a boil. So I'm going to pop the lid on. Now you start timing. When it reaches, for me, it'll be right here because I am under 3,000 feet. So you start the timer 10 minutes when it gets to this green zone here. So while that's going, I'm just going to do a quick little tidy up here, and then I'll get started on my Jello. Okay, so now I'm going to make my Jello. This just came up to temperature, so I got my timer going. I got 9 minutes left on my timer. So I'm just going to use the same pot just since I just rinsed it out. Yeah, I've never made Jello before like this, but we're going to give it a try. So in my big measuring cup, I have 4 cups of that juice. How much lemon? A 1/4 cup of lemon and 4 teaspoons of the calcium water, and we're going to bring that to a boil. I'm going to keep this measuring cup out because this is what we're going to mix our pectin and the juice in. Alright, so I'll just bring that to a boil, and I'll bring it back in a sec. So this is at a boil now, so I'm going to take a scoop of it out and put it in my measuring cup here. I got to move my camera. Just going to turn this off because I don't know how long this is going to take. So it says a cup. You're just dissolving the pectin. That's all you're doing. How much pectin do I need? 4 teaspoons. Now you're supposed to be able to just mix it up. I have tried to do this. I'm not going to be able to talk while I'm running that. So you should be able to just mix it up and blend it till you get no clumps. I think I need to put this in a taller container. Okay, I'll be back. This seems to be working much better. So I just put it in like the cup that I make mayonnaise in. And I added a little bit more of the liquid too. It just wasn't good at being able to be drawn up into the blades. Up here, I want to get down in there too. Alright, so now I'm just going to add this back into my pot, and then I'm going to bring it back to a boil and ladle it into cups. Alright, so I just grabbed that bowl out of the fridge. This is the foam we skimmed off the top. Beautiful. That's gonna jelly perfectly. And since we're right here, we'll give it a little taste test. That's lovely. Not too sweet. I know it's not a food, it's supposed to go on toast, but oh my god, that's really good. Alright, I'm going to let this cool and then I'll pour it into my wine glasses. Alright, so there we have it. Project done. Juice made into jelly and Jello. Let's move my coffee cup there. It's not even lunchtime yet and we have our project done. I love jellies come together so quickly. So we know from our fridge batch that this has firmed up. I'm not going to touch these jars for 24 hours. They're just going to chill here on my counter. It is about an hour later. These Jello have been in the fridge, but before I filmed the ending, I wanted to make sure that these were going to set up. And, moment of truth, 1, 2, 3. Nice and firm. So, I'm going to get my kids to try these for their after-school snack. I don't know who's going to get this one, but it's much more full than the rest of them. Anyway, I just thought I'd try that just because I had the leftover juice from doing my double batch of jam. So yeah, these will probably go in with my Christmas baskets this year. And of course, we'll have some for ourselves as well. So yeah, the jelly works out to be about $1.25-ish with the pectin. The pectin is a little bit more expensive, but then you don't have to use as much sugar. So very successful morning. All right, thanks so much for spending some time with me. You have a great day. Bye now.